Hello, everybody. It's that time of year again. We're close to the end of 2021, and so it's time to solicit suggestions, and then we'll do a vote for some of the authors for the Worlds of Speculative Fiction series coming up in 2022. Now, some people might be a little confused. What's the Worlds of Speculative Fiction? It's a series that I originally did in person and then video recording, and then eventually in COVID times shifted to all online, that began in 2016 and is continuing on to the present. We've covered a lot of authors, a lot of texts, and the focus is on exploring philosophical themes and narrative worlds. So, looking, for example, at The Lord of the Rings and Middle-earth, or the Alliance Union universe of C.J. Cherryh, or all sorts of other things where there's a shared narrative universe that we can explore. So I have some authors and texts already lined up, mostly series, in fact, going all the way from January to September, so 9 different installations for 2022. But I want some suggestions, some input from you, the people who might be interested in what other sessions we could do for the other 3 sessions of 2022. Now, I'm going to tell you who we're covering in 2022 in just a moment. I do want to remind you, before you make your suggestions, you want to go to the Worlds of Speculative Fiction playlist and see whether the thing that you're tempted to suggest has already been covered. If it has, then there will be a video or sometimes videos about it. For instance, if you're going to suggest R. Scott Bakker's Prince of Nothing series, we covered that this year with 3 different installations, or Ursula K. Leguin's Earthsea series. That I think we did last year with 2 different installations. So you want to make sure that the suggestions that you're giving are things we haven't already explored. And then what I'm going to do is take the suggestions that you leave in your comments, and I'll go through and see whether there's any that are getting a lot of traction, and I'll come up with a list of the top 6, and then you get to vote on those. Maybe I'll actually do top 4. We'll see. It depends on how I set up the survey. But you get input at 2 different points. First, giving suggestions, and then we winnow those and come up with the best suggestions for a vote. And the top votes will get into the series for next year. So, series for next year, who are we covering? I've been a little bit stalled in reading through a fan suggestion book that is very long and very dense, Neal Stephenson's Anathem, and I'm going to do that one in January. I had intended originally to do it in November, and then I kicked it down to December of this year, but we're going to do it in January and start out with that. Then in February, we're going to do Philip Pullman's his Dark Materials trilogy, Northern Lights, The Subtle Knife, The Amber Spyglass. So if you're into that, that is a session you won't want to miss. March, we're going to do Octavia Butler's Parable novels. So we're coming back to Butler, who we've already done with her Xenogenesis series. Parable of the Sower, Parable of the Talents. In April, we'll be taking on a fan-suggested one that people have been asking for quite a while. Olaf Stapledon, also a philosopher, so I'm really looking forward to delving into his works. We're going to do 3 of his novels, Last and First Men, Last Men in London, and Star Maker. And then in May, we're going to do Veronica Roth's Carve the Mark series, which includes Carve the Mark, The Fates Divide, and then some of the stories in The End and Other Beginnings. I actually got to meet Roth a couple years ago when she was on a book tour for The End and Other Beginnings, and I co-presented with her here in Milwaukee at Boswell Books. Really fun time. I enjoyed these stories, so we're going to go into those. Then in June, we're going to go way back into the archives and continue something that we started in the very first year. So Roger Zelazny did the Chronicles of Amber, and we talked about the first 5 books that center around one main character and a bunch of other characters, of course, introducing ideas of law and chaos and all sorts of cool things like that. We're going to continue that one in June with the 5 following stories that center, instead of around Corwin, they center around Merlin, his son. Trumps of Doom, Blood of Amber, Sign of Chaos, Night of Shadows, Prince of Chaos. Those were coming out while I was in high school and college. I really enjoyed them, so hopefully, they hold up over time. In July, we're going to return to something that I've been promising to do for a long time. People have been asking about J.G. Ballard, so we're going to look at his modern dystopias with Crash, Concrete Island, and High Rise. In August, we're going to come back to Philip K. Dick, somebody who we've done several times. This time, we're going to be focusing on the theme of androids and humans and looking at his speech of the same name. So we're going to look at We Can Build You, To Android's Dream of Electric Sheep, The Simulacrum, and some of the short stories like Imposter and Nanny, and we'll probably add some to the list. In September, Margaret Atwood's Gilead dystopia stories, The Handmaid's Tale, and her recently published The Testaments. And that takes us up to the fourth quarter of the year, where you get to have some input into what we'll be doing. You can help decide what other texts, authors, narrative universes we ought to go into. So leave your comments below. Again, make sure that you look at the Worlds of Speculative Fiction playlist so that you're not suggesting something that we've already covered. Try to suggest something new, something that you're interested in, something that you'd like me to tackle and to go into the philosophical themes and narrative universe and discuss in length. And then offer, as I do, I create a video and then I offer a session after the video for us to engage in video conferencing discussion about it. So that's it. The job for you is to take a look at what's already been done, see what you would like to have added for the last 3 sessions of the Worlds of Speculative Fiction coming up in 2022. And tune in if any of these sounded interesting to you, right? We're doing Neil Stevenson, Philip Pullman, Octavia Butler, Ola Stapleton, Veronica Roth, Roger Zelazny, J.G. Ballard, Philip Dick, and Margaret Atwood next year. If any of those sound interesting to you, then put it on your calendar. You can find when and where these are going to be on the Reason.io calendar, right? Available at reasonio.com. You can find them on my Facebook page once I actually put them up there. I announce these well in advance, so, they're always on Saturdays, usually beginning at noon Central Time, so you have a lot of opportunity to participate in these. I hope that you've got some interesting suggestions for me, and I look forward to seeing what you have to say.